The impossible return. The alert tone that no one had heard in 8 years echoed through orbital command, causing Commander Amara Chen to freeze mid-sentence during her briefing. The low, pulsing sound was unmistakable. The lost ship protocol. Her eyes darted to the main display as younger officers looked on in confusion, not recognizing what their senior staff clearly did. Director Chen, her eye assistant's voice cut through the momentary silence. We have an unidentified vessel approaching from the Kuiper Belt. Its trajectory and signature partially match the Odysseus. Amara's breath caught in her throat. The Odysseus, Earth's most ambitious deep space mission, gone for 8 years, and presumed destroyed after all signals ceased 2 years into its mission to explore the Ta-Ceti system. That's impossible, she whispered, but was already moving toward the central operations pit. Get me visual confirmation now. The massive wall screen flickered as telescopic imagery captured the approaching object. The silhouette was immediately recognizable despite obvious modifications, the distinctive hammerhead shape of the Odysseus, but now adorned with strange, gossamer-like structures that flowed from its hull like luminescent veins. Magnify Sector 4, Amara ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. The image zoomed in on what had once been the ship's main propulsion section, where Earth's most advanced fusion engines had once been. There was now something else. Crystalline structures pulsed with an internal light that defied explanation. Those aren't our engines, Lieutenant Garrett whispered beside her. No, Amara agreed. They're not. And that's not standard hull plating either. Admiral Kessler strode onto the command deck, having clearly been alerted to the situation. His weathered face betrayed no emotion, but Amara had known him long enough to see the tension in his shoulders. Director Chen, what exactly am I looking at? He asked. The Odysseus, sir. At least, it was. She gestured to the display. It's been modified with technology we can't identify. The power readings are off any scale we have. Life signs. The sensor officer looked up from his station. One, sir. Just one human life sign. 8 years ago, the Odysseus had departed with a crew of 24. Send the hail on all channels, Admiral Kessler ordered, and prepare a boarding team. Director Chen, you're with me. 4 hours later, Amara found herself aboard a rapid response shuttle approaching the modified Odysseus. The closer they got, the stranger the vessel appeared. The new structures weren't simply attached to the hull. They seemed to grow from it, as if the original materials had been transformed on a molecular level. Biosignature still stable, reported the tactical officer. One human, located in what used to be the bridge. Their shuttle docked with surprising ease, the Odysseus's airlock interfacing with theirs as if it had been expecting them. Amara, clad in a hazard suit like the rest of the team, felt a chill as the airlock cycled and the inner door slid open. The corridors of the Odysseus bore only a passing resemblance to those in the mission specs. The walls pulsed with the same strange light they'd observed from outside, and there was a faint humming that seemed to resonate not just in the air, but through the deck plates and into their bodies. Christ, muttered one of the soldiers. What happened to this ship? The atmospheric readings on Amara's suit display showed breathable air, but protocol demanded they remain sealed until they understood what they were dealing with. They moved cautiously toward the bridge, weapons ready. The bridge door opened before they reached it. Inside, a single figure sat in what had once been the captain's chair, though like everything else, it had been transformed into something more organic, more alive. The figure slowly rotated to face them. He was dressed in the tattered remains of an Odysseus expedition uniform. His face was gaunt but unmistakable to Amara. Kaito Nakamura, the ship's quantum engineer. He looked barely a day older than when he'd left Earth 8 years ago. Director Chen, he said, his voice oddly formal. I calculated a 73% probability they would send you. Amara stepped forward, signaling the security team to hold position. Engineer Nakamura, we thought you were dead. All of you. Kato's smile didn't reach his eyes. The others are gone. I am the only one who survived the integration. Integration? Amara asked sharply. What integration? What happened out there, Kaido? He rose from the chair with unsettling fluidity. We found something at Ta City. Or rather, something found us. Back at Orbital Command, Kaido sat in a secure medical bay, submitting to scans with the same detached, almost mechanical compliance he'd shown since their return. The results defied explanation. His cellular structure is changing, Dr. Riveret explained, displaying the results on her tablet. There are nanoscopic machines throughout his body, rewriting his DNA in real time. Admiral Kessler leaned forward. Is he still human? The doctor hesitated. Biologically, mostly. For now. But the changes are accelerating. Amara looked through the observation window at Kaido, who sat perfectly still, staring at nothing. And the ship? Even stranger, replied Chief Engineer Okafor. The materials aren't just modified. They're evolving. The molecular structure is in constant flux, but somehow maintaining perfect structural integrity. It's like the ship is alive. I need to speak with him again, Amara said. Kaido looked up as she entered the room. You have questions. About 1,000,000, Amara replied, taking the seat across from him. Let's start with what happened to the rest of the crew. Kaido's expression remained neutral. They couldn't adapt. The architects tried, but human physiology proved resistant. The architects. That's the closest translation in our language. They were a species far beyond our understanding. Their civilization spanned galaxies before humans learned to make fire. Amara felt a chill run down her spine. They are extinct now. Their physical forms, at least. He tapped his temple. They live on through their knowledge. Through me. You're saying aliens altered the ship. Altered you. They saved me, Kaido corrected. Their own extinction was inevitable. They sought vessels, carriers for their knowledge. The Odysseus encountered their last archive ship. Amara tried to process this. So they what? Downloaded themselves into you. Not themselves. Their knowledge. Their technology. Their warning. Warning about what? Kaido's eyes met hers, and for a moment, Amara thought she saw something flicker behind them. Something vast and ancient, and not human at all. The harvesters, he said simply. They're coming. Back in the Admiral's office, Amara paced as she reported what Kaido had told her. According to him, these architects were fleeing from another alien species they called the Harvesters. Apparently, they'd been systematically wiping out advanced civilizations for millions of years, absorbing their technology and biology. Admiral Kessler's expression was grim. And he says they're headed here. Yes, the architect's technology has a distinct energy signature the Harvesters can detect across vast distances. By giving that technology to Kaido and the Odysseus, they've essentially put a beacon on Earth. So this extinct alien race used us as bait. The Admiral's voice was tight with anger. Not bait, Amara corrected. According to Kaido, they chose humans specifically because we have qualities they lacked. Adaptability, unpredictability. They believe we might succeed where they failed. The Admiral scoffed. Hard to see how, if these harvesters wiped out a species millions of years more advanced than us. A chime from Amara's tablet interrupted them. It was Dr. Rivera. Director, you need to see this. The ship is doing something. They rushed to the secure dock where the Odysseus was being held. The vessel pulsed with intensifying light, the strange vein-like structures along its hull writhing as if alive. It started about 10 minutes ago, Engineer Okafor explained. Energy readings are off the charts. Where's Nakamura? Amara demanded. Still in the medical bay, under guard. But when they arrived at the medical bay, they found the guards unconscious and Kaido gone. Security footage showed him simply touching the door panel, which should have required high-level clearance, and walking out as the systems deactivated around him. Find him. Admiral Kessler barked into his comm. Full lockdown. They found Kaido in the main science lab, standing before a hastily assembled device built from both Earth components and pieces that must have come from the Odysseus. The device projected what appeared to be a three-dimensional star map into the air. "You shouldn't be here yet," Kaido said without turning around. "The integration is not complete." Amara stepped forward cautiously while security personnel surrounded him at a distance. "What are you doing, Kaido?" "Preparing," he gestured, and the star map zoomed in on a region of space far from Earth. "The harvesters are here, moving toward us. They detected the activation of architect technology when I returned. We have perhaps 6 months before they arrive." "You led them here," Amara accused. Kaido finally turned to face her. His eyes now glowed with faint blue light. "It was inevitable. The difference is that now we have a chance." "Because of what the architects gave you?" Amara asked skeptically. "Yes, their technology, their knowledge." He gestured again, and the projection changed to show what appeared to be weapon designs, defense systems, and energy matrices beyond anything humans had conceived. Everything they created in their million-year war against the harvesters. "And why would they give us this? Why not use it themselves?" "Because they think like a hive, predictable and methodical. The harvesters learned to counter every move they made." Kaido's expression finally showed emotion, something like hope. "But humans are chaotic, innovative. You see patterns where none exist. You break rules you don't even understand. The architects believe this chaos might be the key to defeating an enemy that has consumed countless methodical, logical species." Admiral Kessler stepped forward. "And we're just supposed to trust you. Trust them, these aliens who've hijacked your body." "No," Kaido replied. "You're supposed to survive. The integration would have been gentler with more time, but now we must accelerate." He turned back to his device and placed his hands on it. Throughout the facility, every screen, every display, every digital interface suddenly flickered and began displaying the same strange symbols seen on the Odysseus hull. They shifted, transformed, resolved into human language. "Integration protocol initiated. Host systems compatible. Beginning knowledge transfer." "What are you doing?" Amara demanded as security raised their weapons. "Giving you what you need," Kaido replied calmly. "The architect's knowledge, their technology, their weapons." "Stop this now," Admiral Kessler ordered. "You still don't understand," Kaido said, turning to face them fully. His eyes blazed blue, and for a moment, his form seemed to shimmer with the same strange light as the ship. "I am not just Kaido anymore. I am the last of the architects, the first of what humans must become if they are to survive what's coming." The screens throughout the facility displayed schematics, formulas, designs that defied Earth's understanding of physics and engineering. Scientists in the room stared in awe and confusion at the information flooding their systems. "My God," whispered one researcher, looking at a displayed formula. "This violates everything we know about quantum mechanics. If this is right, we could generate energy directly from the quantum field itself." "It's right," Kaido confirmed. "And that's just the beginning. The architects spent 1,000,000 years developing weapons against the harvesters. Now they're yours." "Why?" Amara asked, stepping closer despite security's protests. "Why would they help us?" Kaido's expression softened slightly. "Because they saw something in humanity worth preserving. Something they lost long ago in their pursuit of perfection." "And what's that?" "Chaos," Kaido replied simply. "Beautiful, unpredictable chaos. The architects believe it might be the one thing the harvesters cannot assimilate." A security officer's radio crackled. "Sir, the ship is powering up. Systems coming online across the board." Kaido smiled. "The Odysseus is no longer just a ship. It's a seed, the first of many that will transform your technology, prepare you for what's coming." On screens around the room, the star map reappeared, showing the calculated trajectory of the approaching threat. 6 months, half a year to prepare for an enemy that had devoured civilizations with technology thousands of years beyond Earth's. "You have a choice," Kaido said, his voice resonating strangely as if multiple voices spoke through him. "Resist the integration and face the harvesters with your current technology, or embrace what the architects offer and stand a chance." Admiral Kessler and Amara exchanged looks. The implications were staggering. The threat existential, the choice impossible. And as they deliberated, the Odysseus continued its transformation, pulsing with alien light like a beacon, or a warning, to the stars. The harvest approaches. 3 months after the Odysseus returned to Earth, the world had changed beyond recognition. The initial quarantine had failed spectacularly when the ship began broadcasting its data directly to every networked system on the planet. What the world's governments had intended to keep secret became impossible to contain within days. Amara Chen stood at the window of what had once been Orbital Command's main conference room, now transformed into the central hub of Earth's defense initiative. Behind her, representatives from 24 nations argued over schematics that would have been considered impossible fantasy just months ago. The Chinese prototype achieved 78% efficiency in yesterday's test, General Lai was saying. "We believe we can improve that to 85% within 2 weeks." Not good enough. Kaido's voice cut through the debate. He stood at the center of the room, changed almost beyond recognition from the man they'd recovered from the Odysseus. His skin now held a faint luminescence, and fine, wire-like patterns traced beneath his skin. The gravitic shields must reach at least 92% efficiency to withstand initial harvester contact. Amara turned from the window. "You said we had 6 months. We're halfway there, and barely understand a fraction of what you've given us." "The harvesters have accelerated their approach," Kaido replied dispassionately. "New estimate is 68 days until first contact." The room erupted into panicked crosstalk until Admiral Kessler slammed his hand on the table. "Enough. Dr. Rivera, what's the status on the adaptation protocols?" Dr. Rivera, now the head of what they were calling the Integration Research Division, pulled up her data on the main display. "We've successfully implemented architect technology into 17 critical defense systems globally. The biological integration is more problematic." Images appeared on screen of volunteers, mostly military personnel, whose bodies were showing the early signs of the same transformation affecting Kaido. Some were clearly in distress, their bodies rejecting the alien nanites. 26% acceptance rate, Dr. Rivera continued. "Better than we expected, but nowhere near what we need for an effective defense force." "And the side effects?" Amara asked quietly. Dr. Rivera hesitated. "Significant. Even successful integrations report changes in cognition, personality shifts. Some appear to be accessing memories that aren't their own." "Architect memories," Kaido corrected. "The knowledge transfer is bidirectional." "It must be." Amara had been avoiding direct contact with Kaido since his transformation accelerated, but now she approached him deliberately. "How much of the man who left Earth on the Odysseus is still in there, Kaido?" He regarded her with those unsettling, glowing eyes. "Enough to remember that you were supposed to be on that mission too, Amara. Your broken leg 2 days before launch saved your life." A flicker of something almost human crossed his face, and enough to be glad of that. Before she could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. The tactical display shifted to show anomalous readings from the far edge of the solar system. "Multiple objects detected beyond Neptune's orbit," reported the sensor officer, her voice tight with tension. "Speed and trajectory match Harvester scout vessels based on architect data." "They're early," Kaido said, his calm demeanor finally cracking to show something like fear. The projections were wrong. Admiral Kessler was already issuing orders, activating Earth's newly enhanced defense grid. In the 3 months since the Odysseus returned, every satellite, every space station, and every deep space monitoring post had been retrofitted with architect technology, or at least the small fraction of it that humans had managed to understand and implement. "How long do we have?" Amara demanded. At current velocity, the officer swallowed hard. 18 hours until they reach Earth orbit. The room fell silent. They had been counting on another 2 months at minimum. We're not ready, Dr. Rivera whispered. No, Kaido agreed. You're not. He turned to Admiral Kessler. There is one option remaining. The contingency protocol. The Admiral's face hardened. Absolutely not. The testing showed it was fatal in 87% of cases. What contingency? Amara asked sharply. Full integration, Kaido answered before the Admiral could. Accelerated and complete. The fusion of human consciousness with architect knowledge. You mean what happened to you? What happened to me took months, moderated by the ship's systems. What we're proposing would be immediate, dangerous, but potentially sufficient. Dr. Rivera shook her head. The neural overload would kill most subjects instantly. Even the simulation projections were catastrophic. Then I volunteer, Amara said firmly. The room erupted again, with Admiral Kessler, the loudest voice, opposing her. Kaido simply watched her, his expression unreadable. Enough, Amara shouted over the din. I was meant to be on that ship. If Kaido's right, and the architects chose humans for our unpredictability, our chaos, then I'm the perfect candidate. I've spent my entire career breaking rules and questioning protocols. It's suicide, Amara, the Admiral said quietly. It's our only chance, she replied. Unless you have a better idea for facing an advanced alien species with technology that can barely get us to our own moon. The silence that followed was answer enough. 6 hours later, Amara lay on a modified medical bed in what had once been the Odysseus's medical bay. The ship had been transformed even further in the months since its return, its interior now almost entirely composed of the living, pulsing material that had first appeared on its hull. The process cannot be reversed, Kaido warned as technicians attached monitoring equipment to her. And I cannot guarantee your consciousness will survive intact. Just tell me it has a chance of working, Amara replied, fighting to keep her voice steady. There is a 22% probability of successful integration based on your genetic profile and neural architecture, he said. Higher than anyone else we've tested. Better odds than Earth has right now, she said with grim humor. Kaido almost smiled. The architects chose well when they found humans. You continue to surprise me. Will I? Will I still be me afterwards? He hesitated. You will be more than you are now. But yes, the core of what makes you Amara Chen should remain. I am still Kaido after all. Just expanded. Admiral Kessler entered the room, his face grave. The scouts have accelerated. New arrival estimate is 12 hours. Behind them, we're detecting what appears to be their main fleet. How many? Amara asked. At least 300 vessels, each larger than anything humanity has ever built. Kaido nodded. Then we must begin. As the technicians made final preparations, Kessler approached Amara's side. This isn't your responsibility, Director. Yes, it is, she replied. Send me the latest defense status updates during the procedure. If I survive this, I'll need to be fully briefed. When you survive this, he corrected firmly, squeezing her hand once before stepping back. Kaido placed what looked like a crown of the same living metal as the ship on Amara's head. Your mind will experience the accumulated knowledge of a species that existed for millions of years. It will be overwhelming. Just get on with it, she said through gritted teeth. The procedure began with a sensation like ice water flooding through her veins. Amara gasped as the nanites entered her bloodstream, spreading throughout her body with impossible speed. The pain was immediate and intense, like being torn apart and reassembled cell by cell. Then came the knowledge. Stars exploding, civilizations rising and falling, technologies beyond human comprehension, languages that couldn't be spoken by human vocal cords, the entire history of a species that had watched galaxies form and die. And through it all, fear, The same fear, echoing across millions of years. The harvesters were coming. The harvesters were always coming. Amara screamed as her mind threatened to shatter under the weight of alien memories. But something within her fought back, the very human chaos that the architects had valued. Where their minds had been ordered and logical, hers leaped and spun and made connections they never could. Where they saw patterns, she saw possibilities. And somewhere in that storm of alien knowledge, she found something the architects had missed. A weakness, a flaw in the harvester's seemingly perfect assimilation process. When she opened her eyes, the medical bay was in chaos. Monitoring equipment had exploded. The technicians were backed against the wall, staring at her in terror. Even Cato looked shaken. Director Chen. Admiral Kessler approached cautiously. Amara. She sat up, feeling the nanites restructuring her body, making her stronger, faster, different. "I'm still here," she said, her voice resonating strangely. "And I know how to stop them." 10 hours later, Earth's hastily assembled defense fleet took up positions around the planet. Every ship had been retrofitted with what architect technology they'd managed to adapt, though most of it was barely understood by the humans operating it. On the bridge of the flagship, the transformed Odysseus itself, Amara stood with Cato, watching as the first harvester scouts entered detection range. "They're scanning us," reported the tactical officer, reading massive energy buildup. "As expected," Amara said calmly. "They recognize architect technology and consider it a priority target." The scout ships, sleek, predatory vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, accelerated toward Earth. Behind them, the main harvester fleet had entered the solar system, their massive forms already beginning to dismantle the outer planet's moons for resources. "All ships, implement Integration Protocol Lambda," Amara ordered. Throughout Earth's fleet, the alien technology they'd installed began to pulse in rhythm, creating a network that linked every vessel, every weapon, every shield. It wasn't just technology connecting. It was the minds of the crew members who had undergone partial integration, creating a unified defense consciousness. "They're firing," someone shouted. A harvester weapon was like nothing Earth had seen before, a beam of energy that seemed to distort space itself as it lanced toward the planet. Earth's newly established defense grid activated automatically, gravitic shields flaring to life around the planet. The beam struck the shields and held for a breathless moment before dissipating. "Shields holding at 89% capacity," reported a technician. "Better than projected." "They're testing us," Cato said quietly. "The real attack comes next." Amara nodded. "All ships, prepare for Phase 2 implementation." "Are you sure about this?" Admiral Kessler asked from his position at the command station. The simulation showed significant risk. "The simulations were based on incomplete understanding," Amara replied. "I have the complete architect knowledge now. This will work." As the main harvester fleet approached, their massive ships dwarfing anything humans had built, Amara felt a strange calm. Within her mind, millennia of architect knowledge combined with human intuition had created something new, something neither species could have achieved alone. "They're launching their assimilation protocols," Cato reported, watching the tactical display as thousands of smaller craft detached from the harvester fleet, just as the architects predicted. "But they never predicted us," Amara said with the first smile since her transformation. "Activate the chaotic field generators." Throughout Earth's fleet, the devices she'd helped design in the hours following her integration came online, based on architect technology, but implemented with human unpredictability. They began generating quantum fields that shifted and mutated in patterns no algorithm could predict. The harvester assimilation craft, which had decimated countless civilizations with their ability to analyze and counter any defense, suddenly found themselves unable to lock onto targets. Their precise, methodical systems could not adapt to defenses that evolved chaotically in real time. "It's working," Admiral Kessler said in disbelief as the smaller craft began colliding with each other, their targeting systems confused by the chaotic fields. Phase 3, Amara ordered. All integrated personnel, initiate cognitive disruption. Throughout the fleet, the humans who had successfully integrated with architect technology focused their newly enhanced minds on a single purpose, projecting chaotic thought patterns directly at the Harvester consciousness. For millions of years, the Harvesters had assimilated ordered, logical species. Their hive mind was built on perfect patterns, flawless algorithms. They had never encountered a species that valued disorder, that found strength in randomness. There, confused, Kaido said, his expression showing wonder for the first time since his transformation. Their fleet is losing cohesion. On the display, the massive harvester ships began to move erratically, their perfect formation breaking down as the combined chaotic thoughts of thousands of integrated humans disrupted their hive mind. Now, Amara said firmly, all ships target the command vessel and fire. Earth's fleet, guided by the integrated network, fired as one. Weapons based on architect technology, but modified by human engineers, struck the massive Harvester command ship at precisely the points Amara had identified in her merged consciousness, the nodes where their ordered patterns were most vulnerable to chaos. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The command ship didn't simply explode. It collapsed in on itself as its perfectly ordered systems fell into chaos. The disruption spread through the Harvester fleet like a virus, each ship's systems turning against itself as the rigid order they depended on broke down. Continue the cognitive disruption, Amara ordered as she watched the Harvester fleet fragment. Don't give them time to adapt. For hours, the battle raged across the solar system. The Harvesters, for the first time in their million-year expansion, found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't simply assimilate and counter. Every time they began to adapt to one aspect of Earth's chaotic defense, humans would change tactics, implement new patterns, introduce more randomness. It wasn't a decisive victory. The Harvesters were too powerful, too advanced for that. But it was something the architects had never achieved in their long war, a stalemate. Finally, the remaining Harvester ships began to retreat, pulling back beyond Neptune's orbit. They're regrouping, Kaido observed. This isn't over. No, Amara agreed. But we've shown them something they've never seen before, a species that can't be predicted, can't be assimilated. Admiral Kessler approached her, exhaustion evident on his face, but also a new respect in his eyes. What happens now, Director? Amara looked at the tactical display, watching as the Harvester fleet retreated further, clearly reassessing their strategy. Now we prepare. They'll be back with new tactics, new technology. But so will we. The integration, Kessler began. Will continue for those who volunteer, Amara finished. The architects chose humans for a reason, Admiral. Not because we were the strongest or the smartest, but because we think differently. We embrace chaos, contradiction, and illogic in ways they never could. In ways the Harvesters can't predict. Kato nodded slowly. In their final days, the architects realized their mistake. They had pursued perfect order, perfect logic, becoming more like the very enemy that hunted them. By choosing humans, they hoped to create something new, a hybrid that combined their knowledge with your chaos. And it worked, Kessler said, looking at the retreating Harvester fleet. For now, Amara cautioned, this was just the first battle. The war has just begun. As Earth celebrated its unexpected reprieve, Amara stood alone on the observation deck of the Odysseus, looking out at the stars. Within her mind, the accumulated knowledge of an ancient alien civilization mingled with her very human emotions, fear, hope, determination. The ship itself seemed to respond to her presence, the living metal pulsing in rhythm with her thoughts. It too was a hybrid now, neither fully architect nor fully human technology, but something new. Kato joined her at the viewport. The architects never believed they could defeat the Harvesters, only delay them. That's why they sought us out. They hoped humans might find a solution they couldn't imagine. And did we? Amara asked. Or have we just bought time? Both, perhaps, he replied. The harvesters will return, adapted to some of what we showed them today. But they can never fully adapt to human unpredictability. It violates their fundamental nature. Amara smiled slightly. Chaos as a weapon. Not exactly what I expected when I became a scientist. The perfect weapon against an enemy that feeds on order, Kaito agreed. The architects spent millions of years building better shields, better weapons, better ships, and the harvesters assimilated them all. But they never tried simply, being unpredictable. Because they couldn't, Amara realized. Their minds didn't work that way. No, but yours do. Ours do now. Beyond the viewport, Earth rotated serenely, unaware of how close it had come to annihilation. And somewhere in the darkness beyond Neptune, the harvesters regrouped, attempting to understand the chaos they had encountered, a task fundamentally impossible for their ordered minds. For the first time in their ancient existence, they had encountered something they could not simply assimilate and improve upon, something that defied their very nature. We should begin preparations, Amara said finally. They'll be back, and we need to be even more unpredictable next time. Kaito nodded. The integration of more volunteers, the adaptation of more technology. No, Amara interrupted. Well, yes, that too. But I meant something else. She turned to face him fully, her eyes now glowing with the same inner light as his. The architects spent their entire existence reacting to the harvesters, always on the defensive, always predicting and preparing. And you propose something different.